The COVID-19 pandemic has more than anything else and more than ever before underscored the need to prioritize health as the most significant development agenda. For this to really happen meaningfully, we will need to prioritize the most vulnerable and most stigmatized. People who use drugs is one such group who remain beyond the reach of health and welfare measures and are deprived of justice and rights, are subjected to stigma and discrimination, and have now outnumbered all other groups who are incarcerated due to the criminal sanctions under our laws.
It goes without saying that punitive drug policies are risking progress in health-based response to drug use. Stigma, discrimination, and criminalization force millions of people to conceal their drug use, pushing them into spaces where risks and harm are increased rather than reduced. Punitive approach to drugs is not only harming people who use drugs, but also their families and their communities.
Our lives, our health, and our families are not important just because we use drugs. Many of my peers and my family look up to people like you, and they seek spiritual support. They look up to you in these difficult times. I know how faith organization and faith leaders can make a difference. I heard somewhere that if you judge people, you won't have time to love them.
Please support, don't punish. Support, don't punish. I keep saying this, I'll say it once again.
In this context of COVID-19 pandemic and challenges to the entire developmental effort in getting to SDGs, solidarity and collaboration are more vital. And this development of Faith for Harm Reduction Manual is another significant step in building capacities and mobilizing communities for harm reduction, especially in our context who are at risk for HIV, HCV, and other blood-borne diseases. Having said that,
this collaboration was seen as essential and is an essential initiative in ensuring comprehensive access to prevention and treatment for people who use drugs. This is crucial as people who use drugs have often been marginalized and stigmatized by the society, by formal and informal societal structures, including religions. So the Faith for Harm Reduction initiative actually thus seeks to situate the framework of prevention, treatment, care and harm reduction within the bottom-up approach of community-driven needs, which also calls for the humanizing and empowering communities of people who use drugs.
To serve as a platform for convening community mobilization, capacity building, such as this event, fostering innovative and previously untapped cross-sectoral collaboration.
So this is where our work with the faith leaders becomes so critical and so important. And I'm incredibly encouraged to see the range of different faces as I scrolled through the Zoom to see who's joined in the call this morning. We know that our communities rely on faith and faith institutions as part of their coping mechanisms in times of disasters and pandemics. That's the way that they can communicate best, or that they're able to share information. That's where they receive compassion, courage, comfort, and hope. And it's through our local faith communities that we're able to leverage resources for humanitarian responses. We work through you to increase social capital and interest in these issues, and to provide our colleagues and friends who are impacted with spiritual resilience, facilities, and ultimately financial support. And so the Global Fund is incredibly proud to be able to support our unique partnership.
And we are very happy that has taken this up as a priority, because as far as I could see, this is one of the few projects and few initiatives in this region dealing exclusively with faith-based organizations for drug users. There are people who deal with faith-based organizations on a wide variety of things, the entire AIDS portfolio, but not for just the drug-based, for the drug users.
We are thrilled about the release of the Faith for Harm Reduction Toolkit and for the opportunity to say a bit about what this work looked like in the States, and look forward to opportunities to partner with you all in the future.
This year, actually, and it's been so great this year to mark it with collaborations such as this, with several important partners, leaders, thinkers, and activists. So on behalf of URI Global, I'm very happy to welcome you to the event today.
A deep perspective of understanding that there is a very strong, important area of mental changing the mental attitudes of people that I've seen a lot of organizations tend to miss out, and they tend to miss out on long-term change, where they're able to create change within a faction immediately, but it doesn't create a culture, a new culture. So I really want to I bow to the work that you are doing, and the intent with which you are uplifting people across the world.
Every religion and spiritual tradition teaches and encourages us to care for those who are sick, marginalized, and oppressed. Religious traditions urge all people to recognize the divine spark in each person and to reach out in compassion and support.
From my own faith tradition, which is Islam. So why I would not hate a drug user? Because I would question, can the purpose of religion be to teach hatred? Can the purpose of my faith be to teach me to discriminate? Can my faith, which is Islam, teach me to hate the crime as well as the criminal? Or would it teach me to hate the crime and not the criminal?